D-Day, June the 6th, 1944. The invasion of Fortress Europe was one of the greatest military adventures of all time. But from the outcome of this bold adventure hung the fate of war and freedom. It was because so much of man's hope had been bound up in the success of this adventure that the architect of that success found the hearts of the people open to him. In the dark spring of 1940, German armored divisions were crashing through Holland and Belgium. The Luftwaffe was streaking its destruction through Europe's skies. France was prostrate, and beleaguered Britain was standing alone. The United States had passed the Selective Service Act to prepare for what inevitably lay ahead. And the biggest challenge in Colonel Eisenhower's life was to aid in that preparation. Late in 1940, he was made Chief of Staff of the 3rd Division, where his staff work brought him assignment as Chief of Staff of the 9th Corps. In the summer of 1941, Colonel Eisenhower became Chief of Staff to General Walter Kruger, whose newly organized 3rd Army was preparing to participate in the most realistic war maneuvers yet held. Eisenhower was promoted to Brigadier General, and within a matter of days came the bombing of Pearl Harbor. From almost this moment on, the fate of the nation and the fate of General Dwight D. Eisenhower would be bound together. Called to Washington in the first weeks after the war began, Eisenhower went to work in the War Plans Office of the War Department. Among the plans formulated during this time was the strategic decision to make an eventual attack across the English Channel, the principal Allied offensive effort. The Supreme Commander's orders from the combined Chiefs of Staff were quite simple: to land on the coast of France, and thereafter to destroy the German ground forces. But it would take a great deal of effort to execute these orders. Across the Channel, the heavy fortifications lining the coast of France bespoke the Nazis' belief that they could push the invading armies back into the sea. In France alone, 58 German divisions were waiting. Preparing for the invasion was a job that required great effort. Incessant and realistic training was of paramount importance. The challenges of morale, the myriad details of coordination on every level, all these were overwhelming. Less than 2 months after the invasion, the Allied force broke out of the beachhead perimeter in the hedgerow country around Saint-Lô. Completion of the breakout was the next step, and then began the dramatic pursuit, spearheaded by General George S. Patton's armored force across the heart of France. And then, the grand, triumphant march through Paris, which was freed by French troops and soldiers of the U.S. 5th Corps. Beyond Paris lay the liberation of Belgium and the yard-by-yard struggle across the German border. Both Commander and GI were able to find the exultation that comes when victory is close. Victory came, finally, with the German surrender in a schoolhouse at Reims on May the 7th, 1945.